So first of all, the Leukaemia Foundation and who we are. We're the only national charity in Australia dedicated to all the blood cancers and making a difference. And we started 40 years ago when a treating specialist and a patient, when treatment wasn't available locally to them, decided that that wasn't good enough. And they were going to make a difference in the lives of those yet to be diagnosed with blood cancer. Over 40 years on, we're still underpinned by these values. We're bold to challenge the norm, and these are our organisational values internally and externally. We're not going to accept the status quo until people's diagnosed with all types of blood cancer are unable to live their best lives and no lives are lost. We care deeply about our people living with blood cancer and people with CLL because we want to make sure that everything that we do is defined by those people. And stepping up and making it count means following through on our commitments to all those aforementioned goals. So our services include a lot of things, including accommodation and transport, but as well as practical and emotional support and promoting people's advocacy and being informed and well educated with their diagnosis, giving them the tools for health and well-being so that they can live their best lives. Sorry, now it's not moving. Okay. So we've been on a pretty long journey with CLL. There was an opportunity to work with Janssen with the introduction of Imbruvica as second-line treatment. And we wanted to understand more about this cohort. Sorry. And when we look at our organisational database versus the incidence of blood cancer, sorry, I will get to this slide. This is actually, is there any way to get it? Okay, thanks. I'll keep talking and then we'll get it to that slide. So, because I know I've got 10 minutes and there's a lot to talk about, but there's more to talk about. This is really a snapshot, so feel free to come talk with me because I have been a part of the journey since 2016. So when we looked at our database overall for blood cancers, we reach 11 out of the 35 diagnosed every day in Australia. And to me, that's not good enough. It's only 31%. And more concerning for those in CLL, it was only 20% of those diagnosed with CLL in Australia. Our original purpose to have that roof over someone's head and enable them the right treatment access it has always been very relevant to that acute population, but we wanted to know what we could do for those chronically living with blood cancers and CLL. So the questions we had to ask ourselves, thank you, in 2016 was, is there a genuine need for this group? I'm not naive to think, you know, we want to be everything to everyone, but not everybody needs us. But scarily, if they do need us, do they know that we're actually relevant to them and we're where they can come for that support or information? As Brian alluded to, and I'm sure I'm not speaking news to anyone, for those living with CLL that are, especially in that watch and wait, don't actually feel warranted with their needs. They're told they got a good cancer and they see the people having that intensive treatment and think, am I worthy of expressing my concerns and will anyone care about them? So that led us to trialling in 2017 a pilot called CLL My Way, which was really, we knew nothing, so let's go out and see what happens. And what we did, we had a structured delivery of defined timings, one cohort that got face-to-face support, one that got only telephone support, and different frequencies of support. And what we learnt, which I'm sure people aren't surprised by, was recruitment and referral was a challenge. Our healthcare professionals didn't see that these people had a need and thought that they were fine. Literally words out of a haematologist's mouth, they're fine. So we needed to look at that. What we did know by doing the quality of life, like Brian spoke to, the quality of life was low, and what we actually saw with our participants was they were actually lower than the academic literature that we had done in our review that showed the quality of life being poorer than those on active treatment, and there was a big representation from that watch and wait needing support. So we had to sort of go, well, what do we do from here? We needed to understand what would be a flexible but relevant approach. So we wanted to do a little bit more engagement, and that led us to our stage 2, which was the CLL. What was our engagement moving forward? So we wanted to provide service offerings that met the unmet need and, more importantly, the aspirations of people living with CLL and find out better ways for them to engage with the Leukaemia Foundation where we don't have to rely on the health professionals to make that assessment. what we did is we listened to their lived experience, understand how they saw the Leukaemia Foundation playing a role with them and how they wanted us to be that way. What new ways we could engage with people living with CLL, as Brian said again, as close to that point of diagnosis. I don't want to hear from someone 2 years after needing us earlier. And I guess, ways for us to capture information in our data system so that we can actually see what the trends are and evolve our practice and our support to make sure we're meeting that need as it changes. So on this journey, and the raw journey is this journey underneath, we had an external innovation group that worked with us, that we went through that opportunity down the bottom and explored this was a part of the conversation that we were having with them. And we spoke to 27 people living with CLL. We also then spoke to carers and families, as well as GPs right around the country. And we recorded their verbatim commentary that we then looked at in highlighting what we found were golden nuggets. We uncovered 1,200 clues and 13 insights, which I'm happy to share with you. One of them was CLL, see you later. Another one, which I'll speak to later, was around the watch and wait, and a new terminology that I can't take credit for because it was literally out of the mouths of one of our participants. So from these 1,200 clues, we also then developed 92 plus ideas and brought them down to top 10 ideas that we could actually roll out to make a difference. And these top 10, we kind of speed dating sales pitched with people living with CLL. Resoundingly, we walked away with a clear direction because we asked the people to vote, and they all voted for this concept, which we've called Cancer Concierge. So a lot of you will probably know this journey well with CLL, sort of, the anxiety that comes with the routine of going for blood tests, for those that do move on to treatment, going into treatment, getting remission, and then going back to that cycle of anxiety again. So our Cancer Concierge was to become the single point of help to navigate the way through the CLL journey. The goal of the Cancer Concierge would be a beginning call shortly after diagnosis, and the concierge would help through the highs and lows and provide any support that may be needed, whether it was financial, compassionate care, peer connection, transport, help for the carer, relationship counselling, and all of the above. So our pilot program commenced at the end of 2018 to test the ideas and the learning of this model. And we wanted to empower people through using personalised information relevant to them, where they were at, that would impact on their quality of life. So we actually went out and did some promotion with our healthcare professionals, but did some social media advertising as well. And we had a resounding 164 people express their interest in being part of this program. And a lot of them had never been in contact with us before. 79 went on and were enrolled in the program, we were actually hoping to have 70 people for this pilot program and enable our research. So we closed it at 79. Following the innovation that we spoke about and working with our participants and hearing their stories, we actually developed key topics that were identified that we hope to inform, empower and support a person's journey through their CLL. These topics we also noticed worked with a quality of life tool known as the FACLU, which enabled our participants to complete this before and at the end of the program. So part of the reason for doing this was to actually see what impact the Cancer Concierge had on someone's real quality of life in their everyday. Egocentrically, it would give us a tool to work with those healthcare professionals to show them the impact that we could give people and empower people to live well with their CLL. But also what it did as a assessment right at the beginning was give our cancer concierges highlighted areas of most need. And what often happened was our concierge would talk to someone, for example, about their physical well-being, and that person had never really identified the impact that was having on their life. So in a normal day-to-day Leukaemia Foundation support role, that may never have come up as something that was impacting when the tool was actually guiding us that it was. So we all know that the physical symptoms of CLL, both as a diagnosis and its treatment, can have impact, and the role of the cancer concierge was to give them information and referral to specialists. Emotional and psychological help was delivered through the cancer concierge, frequent contacts with the person. If caring for the carer, it was actually supporting the carer as well as the relationship challenges that we find sometimes where people's family members aren't understanding what it's like for them. Observe and learn, which is our new concept to watch and wait, which came out. So this is a key area where it was more than active monitoring. It's giving people, what am I looking for and what am I learning and how do I have the conversations and connection with others. So what did the support look like? And these are the really fun slides, which I'll run through quickly. It doesn't want to change for me. Here we go. So what were the type of interactions? So our cancer concierges unsurprisingly gave 61% of their interactions was emotional support. And when we dig deeper to that, it's actually disease-related support. And what does that mean? Well, what does CLL mean for me and what does it mean for my life? And that was a lot of the bulk of the work that our concierges delivered. 62% of our participants were in watch and wait, and their highest need was emotional, followed by general information and followed by treatment information. 21% of our participants were newly diagnosed, and again they had a strong emotional need with general information and only a little bit of treatment-related information. So regardless of treatment point, observe and learn and emotional support remained our key areas that were required of our cancer concierges. So what was the impact? As you can see, as I said, unsurprisingly, our biggest impact was in Leukaemia S, which means what does CLL, knowing what their diagnosis is about. And you can look up FACLU online, it's a validated tool available, and a bigger impact in the emotional support as well. This was the only area where we didn't have impact, and when you look at that, it's actually the connection to family and friends. And we're looking further into why that is, and I can talk to you guys later about some of the interesting areas we're finding. So we also did a customer service satisfaction of the program. What did they like? And we've had 55 out of 75 respondents come back, and there's more coming in as we speak. So what they found helpful was the fact that the support was tailored for them, that we were preempting what they actually wanted by using those tools, that we were giving them resources that were relevant to them and what they needed specifically, and we enabled them to connect both with others with CLL and their cancer concierge. So finally, as well, so what does the cancer concierge mean to me? So these was quotes from people, and because I'm low on time, I'll read one of my favourites, which was, while family and friends have been attentive to my needs, an outsider with relevant knowledge, such as the person who helped me as my cancer concierge, brought me a certain freedom to explain myself. Sometimes with those close to us, we hesitate in order not to offend or appear demanding. So my cancer concierge feels such a great privilege to be that person for the person living with CLL, to be that trusted person who knows about CLL and gives them the opportunity to have that discussion. So the where to from here for Cancer Concierge, as it was a pilot program. Here we go. As we know, CLL is life-changing. People want to know how to continue their lives and to adapt, and as I spoke to, that support what it means for me in the real world. So for us as a Leukaemia Foundation, we want to bring this program to life. It started us working in a proactive, not a reactive, waiting for someone to get to disaster point to look for us. We're actually going to be more proactive and actually look at how we can use that tool, especially for those chronic blood cancers that are in a way in a forum where we can actually sort of tailor our support more. And I guess importantly, and secondly to sort of, what Brian was working with our health professionals for them to understand that a referral to a Leukaemia Foundation and support isn't enabling someone to live with a disease mindset, but puts them in a point of empowerment so they can live well with their CLL. And also for our healthcare professionals to use that mindful language, that reiteration of you've got a good one, and if you're going to have cancer, that's the good one to have, it takes away that validation that their true needs are needed in support. So that's us in a whirlwind. I do have a question slide, but no time for questions, but you know where to find me. And I've got to show the question slide because my brand and marketing team put this together for me, and I wasn't too sure about the final slide. And I said I'd call Justin out while I was away. Can you change that slide? It's just a bit cute. So that's my address. I do have a couple of cards that I've brought over from Australia, but thank you for the opportunity. Much appreciated.